So as a pro rider, Graham, spent lots of my time training out on the open roads. It's fair to say I had my fair few run-ins with cars and a few accidents. One in particular I can remember was the Tour de France champion, 2012, heading out locally on the roads in Lancashire and got hit by a van that was coming out of a petrol station.
Like a lot of us, it can be impossible to avoid.
So there are always risks riding your bike out on the open road, and that's where our sponsors come in, CAMS. Cycling Accident Management Services help cyclists get back on the road, whether you're a pro rider, a weekend cyclist or a commuter. They work with local cycle shops to provide quick and hassle-free bike and helmet replacement, and they provide full legal services for any claim you might need to make. And if you've been injured, CAMS will help with all the rehab, including physiotherapy and psychological support to get you back on the bike. But what I love most about CAMS is that they are for cyclists by cyclists. They support the cycling community through partnerships with cycling events, pro athletes and men's and women's junior cycling teams. To find out more information about CAMS and other road traffic accident claims, visit the CAMS website or click the link in the show notes. Coming up in this episode...
I'm going, what if Cadell takes, 3 minutes out of me today? What if I lose the Tour in this time trial? Everyone's going to laugh at you. Keeping those demons out. And I had those demons when I got to London 2012. I've spoke about in the time trial at London 2012.
I always start and finish on the same song.
Yeah, that's
but the ones in the middle can change. But
what do you finish on? What do you start on? What do you finish on? Go on.
I start on Fucking in the Bushes from Oasis.
Yeah, nice.
And I had my Wiggo kit on because I'd been for a little spin. Sky, Wiggo all up the side. Went into the sauna, left my kit, come out the sauna with a towel. Someone had nicked all my kit because I realised someone'd seen this Team Sky
You were
kit.
still in the bubble though. You
Well, I
couldn't
wandered
figure
in
out
with
why.
my big sideburns thinking, I didn't realise how famous I was in the country. Hello and welcome to another episode of Sir Bradley Wiggins Cafe Aficionado. This episode is sponsored by CAMS, the UK's leading accident management company, helping thousands of cyclists get back on the road. I'm Sir Bradley Wiggins, joined as always by my lead-out man, Graham Wilgoss. I'll let him explain the guests today in a moment.
Bit of a different show today, Brad. You are moving out of the co-host's chair into the guest chair because we are talking on your own podcast in your own cafe. We're talking time trials. So we thought about different guests to invite, and we decided on the exact man for the job, but not just you. We thought one Wiggins maybe not enough. So
Another world's medalist in the family.
Why not go to, for the price of one? Welcome to Cafe Aficionado, Ben Wiggins.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks
Riding off his coattails again.
That's right. That's right.
Well,
Rastafari.
You say that, but you both love a time trial. You are, of course, already at 20 years old.
Yeah.
A successful time trialist in your own right. You are just back from the British Nationals this past weekend. There's another guest that we should probably mention on that note.
Yeah.
Who have you brought with you?
This is whenever you win a race or do something in a race in Wales, they give you a red dragon. And
Thanks for bringing it in.
It's for
That's great, that.
we have a tradition with our good friend Luca Unwin and his dad Ash that whenever one of us or me or Noah Hobbs wins something in Wales, and we give him the red dragon. So that's why it's here, because he's here and
Lovely
passing
story.
it over.
Yeah, nice.
Lovely. Thank you.
So you're, Brad, forgive me, just going to delve into exactly where Ben's at for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, go for it.
before we bring it
Hey.
back to time trials. Excellent clip of you both actually just doing the rounds the past couple of weeks at the Baby Giro. Ben, you in the start house for the ITT, for the individual time trial. You're all ready to go. Brad, you had made the journey over to
First time I've seen him race this year, so
give him a bit of support. And you're kind of you can see that you're as nervous as Ben is, or not as nervous as Ben might be, and you want to give him the encouragement from the sidelines.
I remember what that moment's like, rolling up to the start house. You get there 5-7 minutes before, get your bike checked, and then the sitting down process and waiting.
Feels like an hour.
The minutes, and it was baking hot. He's got his ice jacket on. I just remember what that's like, and such small, margins of error. Really, it's such a. You've got to get it all right. In such a short space of time. So much can go wrong, and so much little can go right.
I always stop being nervous when you get to the start house. I don't know if you felt the same. I'm always really nervous until I actually get to the start house.
Yeah.
I just kind of settle down. I don't know why.
But you're riding for Jayco's development team.
Yes.
With any particular responsibility at the Baby Giro?
Yeah, so we had going into it, we had our GC hopes with Adam Rafferty, who actually won a stage, and then for me, it was just about looking after him. Unfortunately, he kind of dropped out on the first mountain stage. It didn't go as we kind of hoped, but we were really good after it. We were we were aggressive going for stage wins after that, and we all had a shot. And Adam was fortunate enough to win us. I say fortunate, he was flying. So yeah, we was a successful week for us, and I was happy to be a part of a winning team. So
talked about your dad flying over to see you. Do you get to see each other much now that you're presumably you're living not in the UK, being on your own pro path?
Yeah,
now?
I think I've not seen you since
December.
Well, I stayed at yours before I flew to Girona one night in February or something.
Yeah, no,
so
I've
not seen you since.
I've been on a forward trajectory myself, busy as anything. So it's been.
I live in Girona, so there's no reason for him to come to Girona nowadays. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
And what do you make of your dad as a podcast host again now?
I think he's pretty good. No, I think I think everyone seems to love the insight you give. So I think it's it'll be really good, especially with the tour coming up. So.
And Brad, you mentioned it just very, very briefly there. You are a world medalist as well as being a British Nationals medalist.
Yeah, I was got silver medal at the Worlds in Glasgow in the junior TT a couple of years ago. I have a lot of TT medals. I've never actually won a major one yet. So yeah, that's still in the works. But
that was a great weekend though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really good. Really good.
I went to watch him that weekend, and because British cycling is always supported by the infrastructure of Ineos, which is Team Sky. So he had
we had the Ineos,
Diego
but that was
Costa,
really cool.
Who was my mechanic when I won the Tour. My mechanic at the Olympics in 2012 was looking after him and sorting his bike out. So it was a great,
it was really
full
nice.
circle moment. Yeah, nice. One question I need to ask you, Ben, before we get started. Best piece of advice your dad has given you, and a kind of sub question to this: is there an awful lot that's still relevant? Presumably,
I think to answer that question, I think it fits well to this episode and the subject that we're on. I think the biggest thing I've learned is, how to apply yourself to a time trial. The kind of mental aspects, they'll always apply, no matter how much it changes. It's still such a mental battle, I think, at a time trial. So how you prepare for that is probably the biggest thing I've learned. Because it's all down to you at the end of the day. It's not really, you can have all the equipment in the world, but if you're not at 100%, it can, and mentally as well as physically, then you can win or lose a TT or whatever. You can, not be in the top 10 or even, so.
I mentioned that clip that you shared on your Instagram of you. Can you remember what you shouted?
It was quite interesting. I know he was fanatical and inspired by the 2009 Tour. When he started cycling at 13 or 14, that was all he. Much like when I was a kid, I used to watch videos. He would watch the 2009 Tour for some reason.
It's just the first tour I remember watching.
Back to back. I mean, like every day.
Yeah. The Mont Ventoux, Lance Armstrong, Schleck.
But that tour had the time trial in Annecy. And when I rolled down the ramp, there's a great shot of Matt White in the car, who was, very close to Ben as well. And he shouts bombs away, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And I shouted bombs away to him because I know it gets his juices flowing.
Yeah, great.
And I shouted that to him when he came, bombs away.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, look, we're going to get into all of that. You're not completely without your duties vis-a-vis being a podcast host. We're going to do the socials before we move on any further. A little bit of housekeeping.
Yep. So you need to hit follow on Cafe Aficionado, wherever you get your pods. Watch us on YouTube and join us on all the usual social platforms at Sir Brad's Caf, please.
Lovely. Right. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So, chaps, before we get into a little bit more into your individual time trial histories and the history of time trials at the Tour de France, let's just give ourselves a little bit of structure and skip through exactly what to expect when you're lining up for the prologue. Not something we see so much nowadays, but a prologue time trial. Anything less than 8K, but it's a sort of short. It's a shuffle of the pack to establish an order to the race before the race proper gets going. I think that's probably the best way to describe it.
We don't see him so many now, which is a shame because I did love a prologue time trial.
Yeah.
Funny enough, it's 31 years since 1994, Chris Boardman's famous win in Lille.
Yeah.
Of course, the Tour starts this year.
Yeah.
Chris that day revolutionising the sport with the Lotus bike.
Yeah.
Put 15 seconds into Miguel Indurain, 18, I remember, into Tony Romeo and De Las Cuevas in fourth.
Over the course of
7.4 kilometres.
Amazing.
6 minutes, 49 seconds, I think, that day's winning time. And I can still remember watching it just in awe of what he was doing. A Brit wearing yellow. Yeah.
Because he'd gone from winning
Olympics.
Gold at the
Barcelona,
Olympics,
yeah.
with the bike that was a kind of, a new fangled thing in itself, and an incredible machine, and kind of revolutionised the sport on the track. And then he'd gone on to set the hour record in 1993, which
On a Corima. Because he got sick of people talking about the bike and how good the bike
The
was,
Lotus,
etc. So he was like, he went, sod it, I'm going to do it on another bike.
Yeah.
Did it on a Corima, which, looking back in hindsight, was a dreadful bike.
Yeah. But
And
it was Luc Leblanc, so French rider in the peloton that year for the 94 tour, who was dismissive about Bourman setting the hour record and said, look, half the pro peloton could
And who
beat
did
that hour
Bourman
record.
catch in the finish straight at that prologue?
Exactly, over 7Ks.
Luc Leblanc.
Yeah. I think the report at the time said something like he kind of powered through like a TGV train because it was in Lille because of the Eurostar and the new station opening up. So that's prologues. The flat time trials, often one that you see in the first week. Ben, talk us through exactly what a flat time trial is.
Yeah, I think recently, as well this year, I can think of a couple flat TTs that have kind of been chucked in the first week to almost break up the race and just have a bit something different to sprint stages. So I think it just gives the specialists a good shot at something. And it's just to maybe shake up the GC a bit, I guess. I can remember a few years ago when I can't remember actually who won it, but Van der Poel was in yellow and he kept it. But it just adds some different excitement to the race, I think, rather than just especially in that first week. If it's in northern France, for example, there's only so much you can put in northern France. So I think,
and it can give the other riders who are not necessarily battling for time, it can just give them, as long as they finish within the cutoff, they know that they can kind of ease off a little bit for the day, Brad.
Yeah, I mean, it is a rest day for lots of riders because you have to be going quite slow to get eliminated on a time trial day. So for day, for lots of riders, when in my era, the likes of Mark Cavendish, Bernard Eisel, that would have, it was their opportunity to switch off for the day, get to the start, relax, warm up. Lots of riders in those positions don't even do a warm up. If the time trial's 55k, they just roll out and see it and ride at a decent pace, enough to finish 12, 13 minutes down, and back to the hotel, and it's a day off in many ways.
Yeah. So from the flat to the mountain time trial, a bit of a rare beast in the tour nowadays, although it is coming back for 2025. Very briefly, Brad, just give us a quick pressy on what to expect with a mountain TT.
Mountain TT, it will tend to be a short period on the flat, maybe 5, 6, 7 kilometres, and then straight into a climb. So it will beg, the question as to whether riders start on a TT bike, switch to a drop bar handlebar out, the traditional bike.
Yeah, as we saw Primož Roglic do at the tour a few years ago.
And it's essentially a race up a mountain.
Yeah.
One by one.
Yeah.
Which I'm not a great fan of mountain time trials, unless they're the classic ones, cold airs, which we very rarely see now.
First mountain TT was Mont Ventoux, which we mentioned in our Ventoux episode with Chris Sibwells, the nephew of Tom Simpson. So one more to mention, the team time trial. Again, not something that we've seen for a few years in the pro peloton. It can be a slightly more complicated thing, the team time trial.
Yeah, I mean, team time trialing, it's a race where you can lose a lot of time if you have it, because you're only as strong as the rest of your squad on something like a team time trial. And if you're catering for different types of riders in a team time trial, so you've got your GC guys, you've got your flat rouleur type guys, your sprinters in there, there can be quite a difference between the abilities in particularly, team time trialing is a flat out affair, riding at speeds in excess of 60 kilometers an hour. With a lot of surging, a lot of accelerations, just to get back in the line, and the utilization of different types of riders to get from A to B as fast as possible. So it's a tough thing, and teams will, get the ball rolling with that well in advance, months in advance. We've seen teams hire racetracks and get to grips with it. Alex Dowsett famously this year has implemented some sort of performance gains in the Astana team with different coloured gloves and overshoes, so riders can, as a way of spotting which rider they're behind as they're coming back down the line. So it takes a lot of thought, a lot of planning, and
it can be I want to say a gift. It's more of a nod to one of the riders in the team. It can be okay. You've worked so hard for the team all year. You've done this and that in your history with the team, and so for this stage, we are. If it's an early time trial, we're going to put you on the front, so you cross the line first, and you take the yellow jersey.
The first rider that crosses the line, if you're the winning team, will take the jersey. One story I have of that, the Giro in 2013, we had a team time trial on stage 3. I think it was. We won the time trial, Team Sky, and I was motoring. I was like a motorbike that day. I loved team time trials. It was a very technical one as well. We got to the finish, and because I was the leader of the race, or the leader of the team for the race, and was expected to take pink in the 3rd week, we had 2 Italians on the team, Puccio, and another gentleman, I forget his name, Dario Cataldo. So we said, look, one of you two take the jersey. Cataldo was supposed to take it. Those two were racing for the line, and Puccio ended up beating Cataldo. And those two were arguing after we'd won the race, but those two were arguing because Cataldo was supposed to take it, and these two were fighting over who had got pink. And it's a big deal for an Italian to take pink. But I pretty much did the whole race on the front, and it was just that's the way it would work out, just so we could keep the team together, because it was a team made up of largely of climbers, because it was such a hilly race. But it was a great day nonetheless.
So we'll get into your history with the time trial a little more. Ben, to come back to you and your short history, being only 20 years old, choosing to start to specialise in this particular discipline, or begin to specialise in this particular discipline, is that a conscious thing for you, or is it partly because you've seen your dad be so successful, and therefore that was more of your reasoning for starting to follow this route?
Yeah, I think definitely 100%. It was something I always wanted to be good at, and I kind of always hoped I would be good at, with given the genetics and
the physiology.
Yeah, but then until I did my first one, and I was like, all right, I'm actually quite good at this. I think my first TT I did was at a Junior Nations Cup, and I was 5th or something. And it was the first time I'd actually got on a TT bike. So I was like, God, I must be actually pretty decent at this. And then the week after, I got my first of 4 national silver medals behind Josh Tarlin, which you can accept. So, I definitely realised then that it was an avenue I wanted to go down. So, and I just always found it really easy to, put myself in that place, which I think a lot of guys can't do. That I think some guys probably have the capabilities to be time trialists, but they can't put themselves in that hurt box when they're on their own. And that's just something that always came easy to me, the commitment and application to time trialing. So,
and in terms of your aspirations, the LA Olympics in 2028, I think you mentioned.
Yeah. I mean,
as
of
a
course,
target.
That's definitely my target. But we'll see. I have aspirations to ride the track in LA also. And I think, as we know, it's quite a hard pair to put together to do both at the games. So whether it happens in LA or not, who knows? But definitely in my career at some point, the Olympic TT is something I want to definitely compete in and try and win. Definitely.
Sure. Hoping for a year like 2012 for you, Brad. So time trials, 2012, has there ever been a year when a rider has dominated more? Just run us through from the top of the year in the Algarve.
Yeah, time trialing. So just to set the scene, really, I'd finished 2nd in the World Championships in Copenhagen to Tony Martin the week before Mark Cavendish won the road race. And part of the process looking forward on that particular individual goal with a view of doing the Olympic Games in London in the time trial was because Tony won the worlds by 1 minute 20 in Copenhagen,
which is a massive margin.
And it was a case of how we're going to close the gap, because I'd averaged 455 watts in Copenhagen, I seem to remember. for the hour time trial. So the power was there, but we were on the old Pinarello time trial bike at that point with the chunky handlebars, etc., etc. So we knew we'd had a lot more to come in terms of aerodynamic gains. The new Olympic bike built by British Cycling, the skin suits that were rubberized, that we were using for the Olympics. It was all the sort of Boorman Sequel Squirrel Club technology that we were going to get. The helmet, all that we knew we had to come, but obviously maybe squeeze a little bit more power out in terms of training and going forward. Bearing in mind I'd crashed at the Tour that year in 2011 and gone to the Vuelta. So there was a lot more to come. So from that individual goal, looking at the Olympics, Tour aside, one of the main things I did after that was I never really had off season that year. I would train on my time trial bike twice a week. So I was doing anything up to 4 or 5 hour rides on my time trial bike as part of my training anyway. So rather than do it on a road bike, one of the things we decided was get used to riding your time trial bike in that position. If I had hill efforts, 20-minute threshold efforts on a climb, I'd do it on my time trial bike. And get used to being in that position as much as possible, get those muscles strong. So when I hit the ground at the start of the season in 2012, I was already running. So, most of the time when, people get on their time trial bike, particularly in French teams, when I was in French teams, that was comedy,
Or just because they hate being in a position and then moan.
They would just get a time trial bike, they get it out the camion or the truck the day before Prologue of Paris-Nice. I go, how do I look on this? Do I look aero? And it was just so unprepared.
Yeah.
And obviously lots changed since then.
Yeah.
But so we hit the first race of the year, Tour of Algarve. I rock up. Richie's in yellow. The job was to do the job for Richie. I won the
Richie Port.
Richie Port.
Yeah.
I won the last time trial and finished third overall, with knowing that Richie was going to be an important figure in my year. So, I was happy to work for him and give him that as some sort of consolation prize, because Richie was a class for act and could have won the Tour himself, certainly podium as he did. And that was part of, giving the handouts to the team, but knowing that they were going to come and ride in my service later in the year. We hit Paris-Nice. Before Paris-Nice started, I flew in 2 days early because the prologue was close to Le Chartres. So we were going to look at the last time trial for July already in March. So me and Sean Yates rode, it's on Year in Yellow, where I'm riding up and down and meet this Frenchman in a car and all this.
Which is Boorman style preparation, actually, kind of knowing where every drain is, knowing where every lump and bump of the road is.
Sean had already looked this route.
Yeah.
He's going, right, Brad, we're going to go and do this. So we started in freezing cold. And do you know what? Funny enough, we just get a sense of what that last time trial's like. And it was, rolling roads. But not one stretch of that can I remember in July going down, this is where we were in March. It's just... You soon forget. So you call it a recon, but really it was just saying it was to get a rough idea of, right, it's farm tracks, big open farm roads, and it's rolling. There's no major climbs. You go through this village. We don't know how you're going to get through this village where they barrier, etc. But you get an idea for July. So that's where that had started. 2 days later, we did the prologue of Paris-Nice. I finished second to Gustav Larsen, which was a great start because, in those days, finishing second in a prologue was actually a victory because when you're going for gold or when you're going for yellow at the end of that race, you never want yellow on day one.
Because of all the extra commitments.
Yeah, it's such a contradiction. You want to win and you'd be disappointed if you finish second. But as Will Fotheringham said in Year in Yellow, this is the best second place you'll ever have. And so finishing second was the perfect place to finish because you didn't have the extra stress of going to the podium, media, the weight of the yellow jersey on stage one with your team riding, having to defend it. So finished second in Paris-Nice prologue. I took yellow on day one anyway, day later, and held it. I had 36 days in yellow in 2012 with all the races together. And the last time trial was that year in Paris-Nice. I won at Col d'Ez, beat Sean Kelly's record, which was great. Beat Lou Westra, rest in peace, who's now no longer with us, by 3 seconds. And that was a great start to what was going to be the best year of my life.
Col d'Ez, of course, one of the most famous climbs in terms of Tour history, Dauphiné history, Paris-Nice history. One you made your own. Ben, just to bring you back in very briefly on Brad mentioning there that he had no real off-season in 2012. Do you remember much? Because you'd have been 7 years old.
Yeah,
do you remember much?
Winter 11, I think that'd have been 6.
Yeah. What that was like at home, because you, Brad, you were having to be so disciplined that I would imagine, the normal things that you might do, like...
Well, you were what, 4 then? 5?
In 2011, I was 6.
I can remember we were in Girona and I went to the Vuelta in 2011 with
Yeah.
a broken collarbone. Do you remember? And you slipped over in the shower that day and ended up in hospital. Do you remember?
Yeah, and I remember as well. I remember you leaving for that Vuelta. I used to get really upset when you were leaving.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but well, I mean, I was a young lad, and obviously you don't want your dad to leave.
No,
home,
you wrote me a
like-
card saying good luck and you draw me a picture.
Yeah, I remember. I don't remember. I think you did have an off season. Let's be honest.
No, not after the Worlds when Cav won. No, we had that night off because I lost my passport in Copenhagen. But no, I came. Never had an off season. Trust me, never had an off season that year.
I have your Training Peaks login. I can fact check
Have a
this.
look.
So
Is there a story where you
Bring the receipts?
it was a celebratory occasion and you'd made Brad a cake or
That was after Paris-Nice.
was it?
yeah. There's a couple actually.
After
There's a couple
Paris-Nice. Yeah.
stories.
So when I
of
came back
this.
from Paris-Nice, one on Cold Days came back. They were staying with the grandparents.
Yeah, I was staying with my grandparents, and you just won Paris-Nice. Obviously, like it would make someone's career, So we made you like these little cakes, little cupcakes. Comes back and we're like, "Oh, Dad, have one of these." And he's like, "No." Oh, cheers.
I never ate it. I was just on it.
But it makes your family.
I know, but it's funny.
Yeah,
But
but you
remember
don't.
funny how he still remembers that.
Yeah.
I just remember your birthday one. I don't even know. I don't think this was 2012. I remember we were in Toulouse one year for your
2014.
birthday.
I remember. I think I've spoke about it.
Yeah, and it was your birthday, and you had the base of a cheesecake for your thing, and you probably didn't eat any of it,
No, my 34th birthday, I went out at 6 a.m.
I remember you put
do a
Stevie
7-hour
Wonder "Happy
calorie-
Birthday" on in the morning,
yeah.
and then you went out straight away.
No, when I got back, because I went out at 6 before you were up.
Yeah,
And I did
yeah.
7.5 hour calorie deficit ride, came back, and I put Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
That was it.
Happy
Yeah.
birthday.
But that's the mindset you were in. That is the discipline.
It's just a lifestyle,
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that grated on me during 2012 and towards the end, and I knew I was never going to go and do another tour because I missed his birth due to a bike race when he was born. I missed pretty much every birthday because his birthday's the end of March. There's always something.
I'm
on.
glad I was that young when it was all going on, because I think if had I been a bit older and been a bit like, I think when you're that age, it's more you're inspired by that more, and it's kind of normal to you. But had I been a bit older, say 10, 11, 12. I think when you need that kind of presence more from your dad, I think I'd have probably resented it a bit more.
Yeah.
But because I'm glad I was that young. One thing I wanted to ask you actually, did you enjoy training on your TT bike?
Not really.
I hate training on the TT bike.
No.
It's
I mean, I didn't mind it, depending if I was just doing specific efforts for an hour and I was.
So
gonna be out for 2
I don't know
hours.
what you're like, because I'm a racer on the TT. I can't get.
No,
I can't do effort. I can't. I rarely hit my numbers I'm supposed to hit.
I did.
when I'm training
I
for
did.
TT.
I wouldn't say I enjoyed it. I mean, I didn't enjoy riding my bike full stop. I did it because I had to do it, and I had to do what I had to do to facilitate averaging a certain power.
Yeah.
So I didn't enjoy any aspect of riding a bike. Just.
But you gain 20 watts. It's never something you worry
No,
about.
I
'Cause
know.
You gain 20 watts
but I
on
would
race day
factor that
anyway.
into my training.
Yeah.
So if my capacity in training was 550 watts for 5 minutes, I knew I had another 50 watts in that
Exactly,
when I got to
yeah.
a prologue. So yeah.
On to Tour of Romandy
Yes.
and prologue there.
Tour
You
of
came
Romandy
quite far-
prologue, G
quite
wins
far
it.
down, yeah.
G wins it. I was 11th. I think it rained for me towards the end of the prologue, but no big deal. But we made up for it day after. Was where I won the bunch sprint.
Which is an unusual thing for you to win.
Let it out, okay, to go.
Led it out with 2.5k to go. It gets the distance gets further and further every time.
Yeah. Tour of Romandy, you end up taking the jersey there as well. Onto the Dauphiné, which is the real dress rehearsal for the Tour de France, as ever.
So as Romandy finished, I win the mountain time trial there, beat Talansky by 1 second.
Didn't you give
Andrew.
I remember you wanted to give the jersey away the day before
Yes.
to Sanchez because
Yeah.
you didn't want to wear the
That's
suit
right.
from the organisers.
Yeah,
remember
true
that.
story. Yeah, forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we would do everything in our power to not wear the race-provided yellow skin suit at a race.
Yeah. Because it's horrendously uncomfortable. It's
horrendous.
not made for
The
you.
ASO
It's-
ones are all right.
None
though,
more
no?
so than when we got to the Dauphiné, they were dreadful, and I wanted to wear my Sky one, because it was a long time trial as well, and I had to. I tried not to take the jersey before. I think it was stage 3 the time trial, and I tried everything in my power to not take it. I got it, and I had to wear the race provided skin suit and got on with it. But because it was Le Coq Sportif then. So it was like wearing a bin liner, and it was. But it was what it was. And I won the time trial by. I got beat in the prologue by Luke Durbridge.
Yeah.
Ben's team part-time teammate this year.
Turbo.
And I won the time trial there. Beat Tony Martin. So again, that was the first time I'd faced Tony that year. So already since the previous October World Championships, I now got the better of him for the first time.
Sure.
I have to say, in quite a few years.
Yeah.
And by 34 seconds.
Massive
in the
mentally as well.
Yeah,
if
mentally.
you get the first better of someone in a time trial for the first time.
This is 2 months out from the Olympic Games. And then we get to the Tour de France, of course, prologue. I get beaten by Fabian Cancellara by 7 seconds, quite a lot.
He was a bit of a prologue specialist, though, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
Spartacus.
Yeah.
I think the thing with prologues is, though, because they're so short and there's probably 20, 30 guys in the similar ballpark over that kind of distance, you're talking like 2 or 3 seconds in it, and the littlest thing can change, because I think you were off fairly early or like kind of in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Jerome Coppel was chasing you, I remember.
Is he?
You
know more about it than me.
Yeah, and then, but I just experienced this at the Baby Giro last week.
Yeah.
I went off early, and then all of a sudden there was this someone put like 10 seconds into everyone, and you're like, why is that? Turns out the air pressure dropped because there was supposed to be a thunderstorm. So because I know it might sound stupid to people, but because you're talking over 8 kilometers, and as I say, there's 2 or 3 seconds in it. So, if something like the air pressure drops, all of a sudden that's, it's similar to when you're on the track, you talk about the air pressure. It's not really something that's thought about for prologues and stuff, but these are the things that count, so maybe something like that could have happened, but I mean, Fabian probably wins anyway.
Yeah,
but,
as I say, it was
still
it was great because I finished warmed down straight out of there and didn't have to face the music of, we didn't want the yellow jersey in week 1.
Perfect result. What was your mindset going into that prologue, going into that tour?
Well, I'd won everything, and it was a case of staying upright and getting me clear road in a clear position till that first time trial. And it was the focus was that first time trial and taking yellow there.
And the tactic for Team Sky, it's quite an old school tactic for that 2012 tour. It's it's almost like a Jacques Anquetil kind of, look, I take time in the time trials, and then I defend in the mountains. Yeah. And so that was kind of the bigger picture for you as well.
Yeah, just that was riding to my skills really.
It was quite a big change from the year before as well.
Quite a big change.
You all sat back, and then obviously
we had to take the race on that year with the team we had. We were capable of doing that. Whereas, in the previous year, it was a case of, right, we're going to be in amongst the Contadors of this world, the Andy Schlecks of this world, Cadel Evans. Whereas this year, it was like, no, they're trying to be amongst us. So we had to take it on. And Planche de Belfi, I didn't expect to take yellow at Planche de Belfi. I thought I'd take it in the time trial, but took it a day early.
Yeah.
2 days early.
Yeah, I mean, it was really down to the cream of the crop on Planche de Belfi. So stages 9 and 19, slightly longer time trials than maybe we used to.
39k the first one.
We used to now with the tour. That really was big picture again. That really was a tour made for you.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, in many ways, critics will say that I won it because the amount of time trialing in that tour and that. I mean, there was only two time trials really. That was 39 kilometers and 55, which is great. I mean. But you just think back to 87 when Roach won. There was a 40 kilometre, 87 kilometre.
87 is just a monster.
And a 40.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love that. You
could have stopped for a coffee.
89 when Le Monde won. I think it was 5. So you had a prologue, 2 or 3 time trials, and a team time trial. And it was just the norm then. Lots of time trialing. When Indurain won, Lac de Vazier, I remember he won around 75 kilometre time trial, won by about 3 minutes. The famous one in Luxembourg, he won in 92, where he won by 2.5 minutes. Another long one. So, I would say it was the best I could hope for in terms of a route design.
You mentioned Cadel Evans, previous year's winner of the tour. In your head, did you have to make him a real,
I mean, this.
Enemy.
We did a whole episode on it, didn't I?
Yeah. But I love the I know it, but I love the story, and I want everyone else to know.
Well, I don't hate myself now for it. This is just who I was. I made it personal, as Michael Jordan would say.
And
And
personal
I invented things in my head to hate this man even more. And not
Before
just
the Dauphiné, did you say I'll see you soon?
yeah, I said something to the start house. I said,
Or you were off
Comment
before.
words.
Were you? You
yeah,
were
no,
off
so I was
after
off
him.
before him.
And did he say good luck to you or something?
No,
You went,
I-
I'll see you soon.
No, he was going up before me in the Dauphiné. So I nearly caught him in the Dauphiné time trial for 2 minutes. And then he went off in front of me at the Tour time trial, the first one I won. And I don't think he heard me, but I said, I'll see you very shortly, something like that. And that was this sort of, bravado and, this sort of machismo kind of sort of figure, just to sort of, it became like that with Cadell. And he was the type of person, I mean, he's an incredible athlete.
and a nice man as
He's a
well.
lovely
Like,
gentleman.
famously one of the
Yeah, no,
nicest
absolutely.
guys in the peloton.
But do you know what? That in some ways, I don't know if that shows how insecure I was that I had to create that. But we all do different things,
Sure.
I mean, I'd had it the other way around. I got completely psyched out by Brad McGee at the Commonwealth Games, because I looked up to him too much. And I knew I had to become an horrible bastard in my own head at times to not think, right, getting into that start, how we've already said how nerve-wracking it is to talk myself out of it in yellow, and it was a way also of me of keeping the demons out, keeping out the self-doubt, keeping out, those moments before when you're warming up going, what if Cadell takes 3 minutes out of me today? What if I lose the Tour in this time trial? Everyone's going to laugh at you. Keeping those demons out. And I had those demons when I got to London 2012. I've spoke about in the time trial at London 2012. 5K to go, where I come around over Kingston Bridge and Sean Yates tells me I'm 25 seconds up on Tony Martin. And I think, shit, I'm going to win the Olympics here. And I start going, what if Tony's only 25 seconds? What if he takes 25 seconds out of me in the last 5K? And I start doubting myself then. So I start giving more and holding 500 watts.
Sure. You
and
almost need the doubt to fuel you.
So that creating of an issue with Cadell was very much my way of bolstering my ego internally in those moments and not talking myself out of it. And Cadell
and keeping focus.
but
as
it's
well.
interesting. Cadell became the focus of the first one, the first time trial.
Yeah.
But once he was out of it, Froome became the focus for my second time trial in La Chartre. And the emotion and the punch coming over the line in Chartre was for Froome.
Should we grab the L'Equipe newspaper for anyone watching on YouTube? Why not? Let's hold it up to the camera there. That's what it looked like on the day.
Yeah. So that
But
was
that was the moment you knew that you'd won the Tour.
yeah, and I'd won the internal battle with Sky and my battle with Froome because Froome, he did wobble me in some ways. It's fair to say. It became evident he was a better climber than me and had more of an acceleration in the mountains and was capable of winning the Tour in the mountains on a different team potentially. But I knew I had the better of him in time trialing.
Yeah.
And I knew that once, not just my physical capabilities in a time trial, but the time trial day starts the minute you step off the bike the day before. So as soon as I stepped off the bike the day before time trial day tomorrow, I'd warm down on the turbo on my time trial bike, and that's become the norm now. We see Pogacar doing it quite a lot, but I would do that then and get into time trial mode. Wouldn't say a word at dinner to anyone. I was very much internal, and it was going back to track days and Olympic finals. It was the day before. All the little things, bicarbing before the time trial and, all those things. And just the mental approach, getting my playlist ready that I warmed up to every day in time trialing, getting my socks out. I wore the same socks under my overshoes, which were my Adidas team issue socks from the Beijing Olympics. Ankle socks, I wore them. They were my lucky socks.
I didn't know that. Nice. That's a lovely little
Yeah,
detail.
just I had all my little bits.
Yeah.
I was very... I had this routine I'd go through on time trial day. It's bizarre. I would cross myself like that before I got in the start house and before I got in the start gate. I'm not even religious, but I would do it. It was like part of my routine.
Yeah.
You can always tell the best time trialists because they all do the same thing. I'm the same. Again, I have the same playlist. Like, I always start and finish on the same song.
Yeah, that's
but the ones in the middle can change. But
What do you finish on? Or what do you start on? What do you finish on? Go on.
I start on Fucking in the Bushes from Oasis.
Yeah, nice.
It's their walkout song, so it's it like works well.
Yeah.
And then I don't know actually. I don't even know what I fit like. Half the time I don't even know. Like
it's just
you kind of drown out.
It's
It's not
background noise.
not really.
I had a playlist that I played of Steve Cummins. It was on an iPod, and Steve had uploaded all these because Steve's a bit of a DJ. And I had his playlist, and and it became my lucky playlist for time trialing. and I would start my warm up exactly where I can still remember the time on it. I can't remember the name of the song, but it was 5:49 into the playlist, and I would end at 59 or something. It was a 20-minute warm up, and that became my. And I would listen to that, go into the start house, and it was no one could talk to me because I would constantly have these on, and that was it.
So
Some days, Joe, it's funny. I was just coming to me now and thinking about it. When you asked earlier, what did I enjoy while I'm time trial biking? That I loved time trial days.
Me too. Yeah, I love
The
them.
pressure and the isolation and the loneliness.
yeah,
Is what I enjoyed when I was at my worst post cycling, doing drugs and stuff. I love the isolation and the loneliness of it. It was almost like and I love
goes
that about
back
time
to-
trial. It's really interesting. It's just come to me that.
It goes back to what I said before about, that's why some guys struggle with, they just can't, deal with that. So that, you can, they end up like talking themselves out of it and losing focus or whatever. But you hate it during it, but then you think back and you're like it's horrible. Like leading up to the tee, it's horrible. It's one of the worst feelings because you just want to do it. But then, then you think back on days like today and you're like, I just love the process of it.
Yeah.
That's what is.
Well, when I say about the mental approach starts the minute you step off the bike the day before, it's you're preparing. Your body's prepared for hurt and pain and suffering and lactic acid and this, but you're preparing psychologically to put yourself through something
yeah,
that that you want to enjoy the pain. And I think if you didn't prepare psychologically, someone said, right, just get up tomorrow and do an hour record, like in the next hour, it would be the worst thing you ever did. But if you said, you got a week to prepare for it, now you start getting into the zone of, it's a bit like, all those,
it's method.
David Blaine and all these illusionists that prepare themselves mentally to go through something that, that's what time trialing is like. It's it's preparing yourself psychologically for it to be the most painful thing. But actually, if you get it right psychologically, it's actually the most beautiful pain you'll ever go through. It's amazing.
You have to, though. I think that's why you see nowadays, I think, like recently, obviously, Tadej in the Dauphiné, he didn't do his best time trial performance, but I think, because he's usually very relaxed and comes across as like laughing and jokey. I think maybe that is kind of his downfall in time trial sometimes, that he is like that because he doesn't apply himself to the TT maybe like Remco does, for example. Like he's always on it. You can always tell in the build up to a TT. He always says in his interview, I think in the Dauphiné this year he lost time the day before the TT, but he's like, it's TT day tomorrow. It's behind me, you straight onto it, which that goes back to the mental aspect, why it's so important, more than physically sometimes, I think.
Hi, I'm Bradley Wiggins, Olympic champion and the first British cyclist to win the Tour de France. I've been a professional cyclist for most of my life, and I take every element of my training and preparation seriously, so I understand the importance of finding the right sports nutrition products. For me, I only want the very best products, backed by science and trusted by the world's best athletes, which is why I've joined the team at Applied Nutrition. Whether it's their electrolyte tablets, isotonic energy gels, or recovery protein, Applied Nutrition products are designed to support cyclists across every stage of the ride, making it a trusted choice for cyclists at all levels. Now, here's the good bit. I've got a special offer for Cafe Aficionado listeners. Use the code SIRBRAD30, that's SIRBRAD30 on your next order and you'll receive 30% off. So shop now on appliednutrition.uk and use the code SIRBRAD30, that's SIRBRAD30 for 30% off your next order. Fuel your moment with Applied Nutrition.
So Brad, we're into the second part of the summer that defined you in many ways, defined you as an athlete anyway. So 10 days later, after winning the Tour, no real celebrations. We've still got a job to do here, straight into it. Olympic, TT, Hampton Court, roads you know well, the V sign sitting on the throne afterwards. I often forget that was Great Britain's first gold medal that summer in what was a gold rush.
The rowers won that morning.
Apologies to the rowers.
Catherine Granger?
Yes.
Maybe? Yeah, I think it was.
It was that morning.
It was that morning.
So
it
could have
before,
been.
I remember it.
Yeah. Well, Ben, that's an important place to start, really. So what were your memories between Brad winning the Tour, where we obviously saw a bit of you on the Champs Elysées. You and family had gone out there,
Yeah.
and there's some great pics of you in like the Team Sky cap and,
Yeah.
and riding on the Champs Elysées.
Yeah, it's a period I remember well. Actually, I just remember, straight away after the race had finished, we went to, I don't know where we went after in Paris. I remember we got on the bus to this hotel. But there was this celebration, but then we were straight on a plane that evening. Straight away it was
I came
attention.
home for 2 nights.
Yeah, and then you got a helicopter down to London.
Yeah, from the garden.
But, and I remember you going out for a ride and there's all sorts of press at the end of the road.
Yeah, we couldn't get out the end of the lane. And I was hiding in the back
That's
of the
why you
van.
got a helicopter to London,
And then a
down the
helicopter
field
landed in the garden, and I flew down
to London,
to London to the hotel. And I jumped out the helicopter, and Chris Lillywhite was there to meet me, to take me to the hotel. Chris Lillywhite, I'd watched Win the Milk Race when I was 13. And
someone nicked your.
I remember Chris.
Someone nicked your kit as well, didn't they?
Yeah, so
When you
I
were in
remember
the sauna?
saying to Chris in the van, Chris Lillywhite, I said, fuck it, I never imagined, because I still couldn't get over that I just won the tour.
Yeah.
And I said, he says, God, Brad, and in my lifetime, I never imagined I would see someone, a British rider, win the tour, and it was all this kind of. But yeah, I went for a sauna in the Fox Hills Resort in Surrey, and I had my Wiggo kit on because I'd been for a little spin, Sky Wiggo all up the side. Went into the sauna, left my kit, come out the sauna with a towel. Someone had nicked all my kit because I realised someone'd seen this Team Sky.
You were still in the bubble though. You
Well, I
couldn't
wandered
figure
in
out
with
why.
my big sideburns, thinking, I didn't realise how famous I was in the country, and hadn't realised that.
Did you ever track it down?
No.
Okay,
But I had no idea that I walked into this, spa.
Yeah.
All these men in a golf club looking at me like thinking, because I just had no idea.
Yeah.
I
It takes some getting used to.
So it's funny.
Maybe our listeners, we should put this on the socials. Maybe our listeners can help. Our listeners and viewers can help
Probably have skids in it and all sorts.
track it out. So 44 kilometres for the Olympic individual time trial through southwest London, the streets of Surrey, ending, as I said, in Hampton Court Palace. Your biggest rivals were going in Tony Martin and Fabian Cancellara. Cancellara in particular, because he dominated the world's time trials up to that point.
Yeah, I mean, Fabian crashed in the road race in Richmond Park.
Yeah, and so
And
wasn't
Tony
100%.
had crashed in the second stage of the tour.
Yeah.
And hurt his wrist. So they were kind of weren't at their best. It's fair to say, but. It was just the execution that day. I just knew I had to execute. I knew what power I had in my arsenal. In the day before I did my efforts, we used to do these through efforts, 6 minutes at zone 3, 3 minute threshold, and 1 minute capacity. And I'm on my new UKSI time trial bike, new skin suit, and I tried the whole shebang. And I remember doing, I used to sit on 550s for my capacity power. And I squeezed it up to like 575. And I'm doing 66 kilometers an hour on this flat road in Surrey on my new sort of, fucking trips and everything. And I thought, that's just a piece of piss tomorrow.
You know the day before how you're going to feel.
I knew I was going to, and it was just a case of just executing it. So that actually gave me reassurance. As I talk about, you get into that zone the day before. That was what reassured me. So I was like, just stay away from the world now. Headphones on, no TV. I don't want to switch the telly on and watch Redgrave and his sideburns talking about, is Brad going to be Britain's first gold medalist at the Olympic Games?
You mean the newspaper sideburns, the cutouts?
Yeah, everything. And I'm just in my own zone, in my own world. I remember going for a pre-dinner. Me and Froome sat having our pre-race meal together. We didn't utter a word to each other, we were just in the zone. And I knew that I could win this. I knew I just had to go out. I knew the powers I was going to sit on from the start.
Yeah.
I knew exactly where I was going to, make my difference on the different road.
What did you have to eat?
Rice and omelette. That's all we used to have.
See, I hate the pre-race because you always feel sick. You get in, you're
rice,
pumping,
omelette,
and you just like,
and my bicarb was already
can't
on the
eat
table
it,
to ready to go.
So you beat Chris Froome by 1 minute 8 seconds over Froome. He came third. Tony Martin, silver by margin 42 seconds, which if you take it back to the year before and you're talking about a gap of 1 minute 20,
2 minute swing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Massive.
we talk about powers. I averaged 469 watts for 50 minutes and 39 seconds in London. So I'd made a gain of 15 odd watts on my power the previous year, through altitude and winning the Tour de France, etc. But I also gained however much with the skin suit, helmet, and the new bike compared to the Pinarello bike the year before, and the bog standard out the box Adidas Nalini made Great Britain skin suit. So everything, the whole package was there, and it just shows you the difference that
Was there a point like you knew you could do it with the Olympic time trial, and you had every confidence that it was going to be your day and gold was going to be yours? But did you really believe it until you crossed the line?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, funnily enough, that was because time trialing is about power, and the results had spoke for themselves. You know, no one's going to come out the bag and go. You know, I knew what I could average, and I knew where I'd sit on my powers. And I went out the start house first 5K. I was like, don't go over 460. It's a flat road, so I'm sitting there at 460. And I'm doing 62 kilometers an hour. And I was like, and Tony was 5 seconds ahead of me the first time check after 5K, and I knew at that point I'd won the race. He's 5 seconds up because I knew I've averaged 61.5K an hour to the first time check, and I'm averaging 455, 460 watts. So I'm not even trying. And then it gets rolling after that. And I knew on the ramps after that, it was 3 or 4 minute ramps after that, I'm going to just sit on 560 watts up these ramps for 3.5 minutes at 70 kilos. And Dust Tony is going to be, there's no way he's going to be average. I knew, it's so quantifiable. I know the numbers he's going to have to average on the weight he is and all that. And I knew that's where I'd take my time. So the second time check, I was 15 seconds up on him. So I took 20 seconds out of him, and I'm like, I know what cards he's got. And that was, to think of that clarity at that moment and have that call, that's where the reassurance came from in time trialing for me, was just knowing the numbers.
And you made history.
Yeah, but, as I say, when I got over Kingston Bridge and, the human in me came racing to the surface, and the insecurity and all that, I was like, I'm actually going to win this. Once I come out that bubble and that stream focus. And I thought, what if Tony has saved something, Brad? The Brad in me, the idiot, starts talking to myself. And I started thinking, right, we'll just sit on 500 watts then, Brad, for the last 5K. Just feather 500 watts. Because then he's going to have to do 580 watts.
Feathering 500 watts as well in itself.
Like
who feathers 500 watts?
490, 510, all the way up to Teddington. 490, 510, 480, 420, 520. Race it, and then coming around the last bend after Bushy Park. And the fear in me thinking, what if he has? Just the human was raced to.
Well, you could see him at that point. Could you not see him in the distance?
No.
He was ahead of you.
I can't. I caught Lewis Leon's Champs Elysées for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But he broke his chain coming off the start ramp. And then crossing the line, and David Rosmond and Richard Freeman, the famous Richard Freeman, were there. And they were saying, you've won, Brad, you've won. And I was like, not till Cancellara finishes, because he was the defending champion. And he's 2.5 minutes down or something, and I was like, no, but wait, it's Fabian Cancellara. And I would not allow myself to celebrate until Fabian had crossed the line.
Great moment, which we could talk about all day, but we've got to move on, unfortunately, to a few iconic tour time trials that we need to mention. The first in particular springs to mind, 1989, Laurent Fignon versus...
I watched that this morning, actually, just to...
get in the mood.
Yeah, no, I keep watching it. It keeps coming on my YouTube sort of playlist, but it was phenomenal. It really was. And what won Le Mans that tour, what was his probably defining moment in many ways, or most memorable, was the inclusion of his tri-bars and the one of the first gyro time trial helmets. Yeah, because he used it just to give us the context. He used it to overturn a deficit of 50 seconds to win by 8 seconds. So it's the tightest for the tightest winning margin in Tour de France history. 54.5 kilometers an hour, I think, that day.
Yeah,
that time trial. And Fignon averaged 52. And it's phenomenal the speeds they were riding.
Which with a ponytail is
those
something
speeds, that would have made more of a difference, in terms, because Le Monde famously used to put his head down every 3 seconds as well. That not for aero gains, but that was his riding style. Look down at his legs, which probably had a big advantage as well now. But it was phenomenal. He was years ahead of the game on that.
I want to move on to one that Ben will remember. Well, I'm presuming you'll remember well. You and me watched it together, the Planche de Belfi time trial in 2020 at the Tour. Primož Roglic going into it, thinking that all he had to do was finish and finish well. I don't think any of us really, apart from maybe our old producer Pete, who put a bet on Pogacar winning that day and winning the Tour that day. But I don't think any of us saw that coming.
I remember us all saying at that time, we were witnessing greatness. Have we all just witnessed, the greatest, the start of his journey?
It was an extraordinary rise, and you sort of saw Roglic suffering from early on, and sort of seeing it in real time. Ben, I don't know if
I remember watching it at home. And I was like, these time gaps are wrong. They've got to be.
Exactly.
I think he was like 30 seconds or something at the bottom. We're like, nah, this can't be right.
Yeah.
And you just everyone's assuming that the clocks are wrong. Yeah.
I was like, these timings are wrong, and then they got on the climb, and you can actually visibly see the speed difference, and you're like, bloody hell, like this is actually happening,
So from that to looking ahead, the team time trial return for the first time at the Tour in 7 years. New format trialled in Paris-Nice. Explain to us, Ben, I'll come to you. Explain to us the format on GC times taken for each rider as opposed to the entire team's GC time taken from the third rider across the line. I say explain it, I've just done it. Do we think it's a good idea?
Yeah, it's different. I think it can definitely kind of, I won't say revive team time trialing, but I think it was always a bit weird with the team time trial, you know, like you obviously, so for someone like Pogacar, if he's waiting on someone, he's hurting himself, you know, so I think it's definitely better in terms if you're a GC rider, you know, for like Remco, he can just leave his team behind with 3K to go or something and do it himself, so. You're
a fan of this concept?
I mean, it's different. It's one of them ones where they make that change and I start finding myself thinking, how would I have benefited from that? Were there races that we lost where I could have done with that ruling? And I can't, I mean,
2009?
2009 was epic. I mean, we have an internal sort of kind of bond, us four guys, because we, it was myself, Christian Van der Velde, David Miller and Dave Zabriskie.
Yeah.
With Ryder Hesjedal hanging on for dear life.
Four specialists.
As the fifth man that we needed to cross the line.
Yeah.
Because the first climb we went up, we lost Julian Dean, we lost Danny Pate,
Tyler.
And
was
I
Tyler
was
there?
Tyler Farrar.
Yeah.
I was hoping to take yellow that day. I was so close. We'd missed the crosswinds the day before, and we were battling against Radio Shack or whoever, Astana at the time. Sorry.
And Saxabank.
Yeah, and then I think we had one in 2011 Tour as well, where I was British champ, where we finished second to a very strong Garmin squad, where Tuhushov took the jersey. But yeah, team time trialing. I mean, I used to love team trialing. It was my forte. It kind of takes us back to the track days and team pursuing, and I suppose you knew you were going to have to do a large part of the donkey work. But and I always, you know, egotistically, you like the races that you're going to be strongest in, and there is an element of ego. Time trialing is all about ego. And you have to control that ego so you don't do too much damage in the team. And it's a balance between letting your ego subside a bit, but also using it to your strength as well in carrying the team and getting from A to B as fast as possible and maximizing how, because you can destroy a team in a team time trial by being, waving your willy and being really strong and blowing the team apart, which does no good in terms of getting a unit from A to B as fast as possible. But this new ruling, I mean, I actually think it's gonna. You have to think about it differently. You have to use your bodies up early. Make sure you don't run out of bodies, too early. So it takes some thought.
Right, gents, time for the ultimate cyclist. We are building the ultimate cyclist, taking different skills and disciplines in cycling across cycling history. It can be from riders who you've ridden with, Brad, or riders you were a fan of. Doesn't matter, but what we want to end up with eventually is a cyclist who has so far the heart of Geraint Thomas, the climbing ability of Marco Pantani, and the panache of Julien Alaphilippe, just to name a few. So today, of course, it has to be the greatest time trialist in history that we are looking for. So Ben, I think I might come to you as is custom now as our guest.
Right now, I'd say Cancellara as the best ever. But I think there's two current time trialists that can, by the end of their careers, I think they can challenge that. Remco and Josh Tarling.
Remco's special, isn't he?
Remco's really special.
Yeah.
But I think right now, Fabian, two-time Olympic champion.
Two-time, yeah.
How many world titles? I don't know.
Four prologues in the Tour.
World titles, he won 4. He'd won 4 in 5 years, and he didn't do 2008 because he won gold at the Olympics that year, and he was just I think it was mental exhaustion. He just said, no, I'm toast.
Special, man.
Yeah,
special. He set the bar for us all.
Yeah. And so that brings us on to your choice.
My choice. Well, I'm just going to go from my inspirational point of view. And in the 90s, watching Miguel Indurain, he was a dominant force in time trialing, big unit, 6'3", 80 kilos. And was mesmerizing watching him in time trials, winning in the prologue in San Sebastian in 92. And I can remember him coming, it was one of the first ones I'd watched, and, the Basque countries from Pamplona and winning in the prologue in San Sebastian and the tick attack, the stuff that was coming over. People were throwing stuff over, like all them sort of, confetti and things. And it was just amazing. And then, his dominant performance in Luxembourg in 92 by an enormous margin. I think it was 2.5 minutes. 93 winning both time trials. 94, again, Boardman was on the scene that year, but Boardman hadn't quite mastered it in the long time trials and to compete with him. But I remember him in 94, particularly the first time trial, catching Lance Armstrong as world champion, and the speed difference, him going, I remember Lance's interview at the end going, I thought I might do, I was 53.11 and Indurain came past me, I was getting dropped, and that really was memorable for me. And Indurain's, again, 95 winning. He attacked the day before the time trial into Liège. He took Johan Brunel with him and rode on the front, and it was like, wow. And then the next day after, he only won the time trial from Bjarne Riis by 5 seconds into Huita Serang, and he was on the famous Espada Pinarello bike. But they were great years. Miguel Indurain for me, hour record holder. He was present at my hour record, came trackside when I done the hour. And was and funny, I kind of, everything I did in the tour, you got from Indurain.
Sure.
His composure. I very much rode that tour how I, watching my hero,
So to avoid any family conflict, Big Mig, I love, bit of a hero for me as well. Fabian Cancellara, 4 world titles in 5 years, backed up 1 Olympic gold with another as well in 2016, so 2008, and then winning it again in 2016 with obviously 2012 in between. However, I'm going to overrule you both, and I'm going to put you in, Brad, because we got to have you in.
I was just about to say, what the fuck do you know about the price of cheese? But if you've chosen me, Graham,
I thought you might.
No, I agree. I agree, but I think as in terms of prime as a time trialist, I don't think it comes close, really. I think you're one of only 3 to be Olympic champion and world champion at the same time. Cancellara, yourself,
we've all
and
won the
Remco.
Olympic gold. Miguel in Atlanta.
Well, look, our listeners might not agree. They might not agree with me,
No,
but it's I think difficult not to, given it's your cafe that we're in. So on that note, encourage everybody, whether you're listening, watching on YouTube, let us know whether our ultimate cyclist is what. Let us know if he's looking good. Let us know if we've missed anyone out. Find us on Instagram at Sir Brad's Cafe and tell us if we were right, or I was right, to name Sir Bradley Wiggins as the greatest exponent of time trialing for the ultimate cyclist. Ben, as we come to the end of our time with you in Cafe Aficionado, what are your next steps? Where do you go from here, mate?
My main goal is to turn pro on the world tour. Hoping in the next year or the year after to be doing that. I mean, ideally, I'd like to do another year at under 23. I think it's a really valuable, and goes against kind of what is going on nowadays. Guys want to go up as early as possible, but I think for me, I want to go up to the world tour as a winner. And I mean, I want to, for example, I want to get that national title in the under 23 off that, get that monkey off my back. So that's just one of the things I want to achieve before moving up. But in the short term, we've got under 23 track Euros, again in line with my ambitions for LA. So
World time trial title this year?
No, I don't think I'll be going to Rwanda.
No.
But and then got L'Avenir, Tour of Britain, some massive races still. Hoping to be selected for those. So
what are your hopes for your son at this point in his career?
Yeah, he's just to continue. I mean, I've observed him the last couple of years, through getting through adversity, challenges, accidents, bad luck, just missing out on the big prize at times, world championships, nationals, as we spoke about. And I just feel like something big is on the horizon. And when he wins, he'll win big. Much like I did. I sort of, silver at Worlds and things like that. But when I won big. And I feel like that's on the cards for Ben. Is
I think so.
The big prize. When he does win, he wins big. And I think that's
I think the type of rider I am, and you were as well, we have to win big because, we're not blessed with a nuclear sprint, or, we're not going to ride people off the wheel with our, like over a climb, we've got to get away on our own or win from a small group. And to do that, it's very hard.
And the stars have to align as well. The course, the day, the timing, the luck on your side.
So I'm going to ask our final questions to you, our traditional final questions to you both. First of all, Brad, what keeps you in love with cycling?
Well, it's been
because it hasn't always been.
No, it hasn't.
A straight shot. This one.
It's funny now. I come full circle now, and I think it's for me the reason I got into it is the inspiration piece, and it's the people that have gone before, and remembering and falling back in love with. I watch all the old races again now, and it reminds me of when I talk about Miguel Indurain or Chris Ballman, those years, those prime years in my teens. How comforting it was, and then to follow in the line of those people. This jersey I got in here came in the post yesterday from Jan Ulrich, sent me one of his original 1997 17 when he won the Tour, and I can still remember that, and God, what a time trialist he was. And I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be sat here with this platform if it wasn't for people like that that made me fall in love with the sport and want to achieve the same successes that they achieved and do it in the same manner and the same style. So it's a real honour, and I keep coming back to that now. And not only that, but falling in love with the modern day cycling. Watching Remco in the Dauphiné time trial the other week was just a thing of pure joy. Watching a man
offensive position as well.
Watching a man execute a ride in the manner he did, as such a small guy, it shows you there's no textbook physique for winning a time trial, and how that man maximizes the power he's got, the capabilities he's got, with the positioning and understanding in the moment while he's doing it, what is fast, and watching his visor touch his forearms, things like that. It's just a
sensational
subtleties,
yeah. Ben, very quickly, what's keeping you falling in love with cycling?
Nothing. The game's gone.
That's as quicker and as good an answers we've had on Cafe Aficionado.
The process.
Yeah,
the process.
Nice. And then move us on to your cake and coffee order in your cafe of choice, which is.
What is your cafe of choice?
My cafe of choice will be Ineria in Girona. Some of the Girona listeners will know Ineria. It's just around the back of my apartment, actually. But yeah, it's best coffee in Girona, I think. I'll get a flat white and a cinnamon roll.
Excellent. Anyone in Girona? See you down there soon.
Yeah.
Brad?
My one at home is Apex Cycle Works in Lytham, my local one. I've got to give them a shout out as well.
Quite right too.
And a little outsider, this one, the one in Alaro in Majorca. That's a good one. Your friend owns.
Extensive list.
No.
Well, it's hard to pick one cafe.
Alara. Oh yeah, World Medicine champion.
Yeah. It's an hour and a half back from the port as well. It's a good distance.
Guy. Big shout out.
So they're my.
Whereabouts is it?
In Alaro in
Cycling
Majorca. Cycle Planet. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, when I'm because I'm in the US quite a lot. There's a little cafe. It shut down in March, but it was my go-to, and it was called Jour de Fête. And it was run by a Frenchman, Olivier, and I would get a drip coffee and with oat milk. That was my, But it's not there anymore, so you can't go there.
Shame.
But I wanted to shout
Were
out
you a
to-
cafe stopper on a ride?
Never.
Yeah,
Never,
always thought
no.
you were.
I used to like going to the barn in the barn,
in Scorn,
which was in Maudsley in Lancashire.
Oh no, what? I thought you were on about Scorn.
No. Remember the little coffee bar?
Yeah. Cedar Farm.
Cedar
as well,
Farm.
yeah.
Cedar Farm.
So, Brad, I'll leave it to you to thank your son for
thank you,
coming
Ben.
on to Cafe Aficionado,
Good to see you again. Yeah.
and I'll do the socials to say hit follow wherever you get your podcasts on Cafe Aficionado. Watch it on YouTube at Sir Brad's Cafe if you're not already, and join us on all the usual social media platforms at Sir Brad's Cafe. Ben, thanks again for coming to Cafe Aficionado. Brad, thank you.
He was always gonna be here.
You're obliged to be here.
Rastafari.
And for everyone else, we'll see you next time.